Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be my eyeshadow palette review for September. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is long overdue because I didn't get to do it in August because I was ill and I didn't get to try all the eyeshadow palettes I had selected. So I decided to rope them into September and just do an extra large version. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 palettes here to get through. So let me just get to it, show you all the swatches, all the looks I did with these. And say for one palette, I managed to use every single pan again in every single one of these eyeshadow palettes. And I'm wearing one of them on my eyes today. So let's just get to it. And I think this is a very exciting update because I have some palettes in here that I think a lot of you want to hear my thoughts on. There are some warm tone things in here today as well, some like neutrally things. We've got something purple, but for the most part, it's cooler tone neutrals. And some of them were very successful, surprisingly so, and a couple of other ones were a bit disappointing. So let me tell you all about these, go through them one by one, and give you all my thoughts. So I'm going to start off with the 3 palettes that I did end up using in August. I knew since I was traveling in August that I wouldn't be able to select giant palettes anyways, but then I got ill as well, so that really set me back a little bit. But I did try these little baby mini things. Let me start with this one because this is a brand I had never tried before. This is Martine Cosmetics. They are a Belgian brand, but for some reason the easiest way for me to get them is through Beauty Bay. By the way, there will be links in the description box down below if you were interested in buying these. Just know if you shop through them that I could make a small commission, and I do have a really exciting announcement in a little bit when we get to some of these other palettes. But yeah, Martine Cosmetics, as I mentioned, from Belgium. I get them through Beauty Bay. That's where I find most of their stuff. And this palette, the Mini Tchoin, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how I would pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But you know, I love myself a bit of a cooler toned, like gray with purple sort of moment. I really enjoy color stories like this. And I had never tried this brand before. They did a palette a couple of years ago called the 669. And it's one of those brands where if things sell out, they don't tend to come back in stock. So they like do a production, it runs out, and then you can no longer get it. And that's definitely what happened with me and the 669. I was very much on the fence about it because it looked really dark. And one of the people I was watching at the time, Nikki Raven, I don't think she's still on YouTube, but I was really watching, at least not doing makeup videos as far as I know. But she was raving about this brand, and I was like, okay, I want to try them at some point. But they weren't really doing color stories that was really like wowing me. It didn't really do much that I would want to put my money towards. Or by the time I decided to put my money towards it, it had sold out. So this is one I was able to pick up, and you essentially get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 grays, a black, and a purple shade. It very much reminds me of the Catrice Diamond Lavender look in the way this looks color story wise, but I'm gonna say it here. The Catrice 5 in a box Diamond Lavender look is better than this is. I'm very sorry. I wasn't super impressed with this. It felt stiff. The mattes are really sheer. And while I love a blendable, buildable eyeshadow, I really had to work hard to get these to show up, which with my fair skin, that's not something I'm used to doing. And the 2 shimmers you get in here are really soft. They're not as impactful as I'd hoped. And they can be very difficult to build up as well. So I had just expected more from this, especially with how expensive this is and how much like hype I've heard about this brand, especially when they first came to the forefront. So as much as I like the color story, I just think I have palettes that look like it that I just prefer a little bit better than I do this one. Was the look I did with this pretty in the end? Yes, it was. Was it soft? Was it wearable? And is this something that I think a lot of people can enjoy? Certainly. I think this is a really good one. if you love really soft, blendable, not too much in your face kind of makeup. If you love that kind of thing, you're gonna like this, but I had definitely wanted a little bit more, especially from the shimmers in this one. And I think I'm gonna have to be very honest here and tell you that I am gonna kick things off with my most disappointing palettes, because the Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow palette in Myth, not my favorite. I love Vega, I love Sorcery, those are like up there, and I love the formula of these shadows, but purples can be hard to do, and I think that this is the case for this little guy here. You get 6 purples, but this is weirdly warm compared to everything else, and this is the thing that I would personally like potentially want to put in a crease somewhere or on the lower lash line, and this is the kind of purple that makes me look ill, which I don't love. So if I were to go back to it, I would just leave this out. This makes for a pretty crease shade, but it was quite stiff and hard to blend, and I'm not used to that being the case with Lisa Eldridge shades. The 2 shimmers are really beautiful, but I do have to say that by now, as I'm filming this, this has been discontinued, and I can see why, because compared to the other 2 I've already tried, I just don't think this is the same quality. Will I be using this? Yes, because these are removable pans. So what I could do is that I could like mix and match the palettes I already have together. And there are shades in here that I would want to go back to. But I can already tell you, this shade I want to go back to, and this shade I want to go back to. The other 4, meh. Like, for what you pay for this, and knowing how good I feel Lisa Eldridge can be, this isn't up there like the other things. So if this is the only eyeshadow palette you've tried from Lisa Eldridge and you felt the same way, maybe try another one, because this is definitely not the best eyeshadow that Lisa Eldridge can do. So I'm not surprised that this was discontinued, because this is not the kind of quality I'm used to with Lisa Eldridge. And the next palette, I wasn't disappointed in the formula at all. I do think this formula is similar to the one I've already tried before. It's by M Cosmetics. This is their Divine Skies eyeshadow palette in Saturn's Return. And the one that I already have is called Rodin, if I'm not mistaken, which is their more neutrally toned one. And then this was promoted as being their cool tone palette. We'll see the opposite in a second, so if you're feeling I'm starting off being very negative here, I do apologize, but we are going to get some palettes that surprise me in a good way. But this on me wasn't all that cool toned. I think this can be cool toned for people who already have a warm undertone, but especially these 2 shades were just far too warm toned to have it work as a cool tone palette in my brain. These like purpley tones are really pretty, but again, when I was using them, the overall look I created with this was a warm toned look, not cool toned. I do like it. I like the quality compared to the other 2. This was definitely one of the better quality ones that I tried that month, but color story wise, it was just a bit of a letdown. I really thought from looking at the promotion images online that these 2 would be like more like neutrals. So I was like, if I pair them with cool tones that are in the palette, they might pull a little bit more towards the cooler tone spectrum. But this palette did the opposite for me, where pairing those like 2 neutrals with the cool tones pulled the entire look into a warm tone direction, which is a bit of a shame. But that brings me to the 2 palettes I didn't get to try in August. So I started using these at like the end of August, early September, straight away to get the looks done. The Let's Get Nude from GlossGods and the Amy Loves from Adept and Amy Loves. We have the GlossGods first. So I said this in my like several videos this year. I have been loving warm tones again, and to not have myself go ham, I'm sort of allowing myself to like buy like a couple of things that like help me get the more updated formulas in terms of warm tones, but I don't want to splurge too much. And this was one of those picks. Maybe the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm can be the next one, but I'm not sure because I haven't seen that one in real life, and I do think I want to see that in real life before I decide to bite the bullet. We'll see how it goes. This guy right here, the Let's Get Nude from GlossGods, is sort of tickling that warm-toned itch. And here again, I love the GlossGods formula, but these were hard-pressed compared to some of the other GlossGods palettes I have. So I did enjoy them, but I didn't enjoy it as much as some of my other GlossGods palette. This isn't as versatile for me. I did 2 looks. I did a look with one half of the palette and the other half of the palette. And these shades, I was hoping were going to look like purpley pink on me. They pulled red. So for me, there was a bit of an issue with the way these shades started to pull on my fair skin that has that cooler, neutral undertone. And I definitely think that went into play. I think if you have a warm tone, this is going to look very differently on you. I also hadn't expected this white to be so strong of like a reddish tone peach going onto the lids, because in the pan it looks like it's got like purple and gold, and it just didn't when I was using it on the eyes. So that was a surprise. Is this a beautiful palette? Yes. Does it tickle the warm toned itch? Yes. Am I going to reach for it again? Also yes. Is it going to be my favorite all-time palette? No. Is it going to be my favorite all-time GlossGods palette? Also no. So hard-pressed, and the shades just pulled a little bit differently on me than I had expected with this one, which is why, sadly, it wasn't my favorite. And next up is the Adept and Amy Loves palette. So I got mine through Monolith, and I'm super happy to announce that I now have a permanent 5% off code with Monolith, and it's now affiliated. Before it wasn't. I had it running in August, but they contacted me the other day and was like, do you want to be like a permanent affiliate with us? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I now have a permanent affiliate link with them in the description box down below, and with code _Micah_5, you can get 5% off of your entire Monolith order, and this is going to run indefinitely until they tell me they no longer want to work with me. How exciting is that? I'm super happy that this just happened, like just a couple of days before I sit down to film this video. And this palette is one of those things that I'm so happy that Monolith even exists, because if I had bought this from the Adept website, like I did with some of the earlier things I bought for them, I think I would have been a bit disappointed, because Monolith, in case you don't know, they are an EU retailer that sell a lot of US indie brands, and it just makes it so much easier to shop. They have free shipping over 100 euros, and you don't have to pay for shipping and handling fees if you are within one of the countries that they serve, which is, it makes it so much easier. And Adept is not an affordable brand. Their palettes tend to be a little bit more expensive. This is one of their 15 pans, and I really like the layout of this. And Adept does really good shimmers. I love the shimmer quality in here. Let's just start with something that was very positive for me. The shimmers are beautiful. It's the mattes that are the letdown, and that was the thing that I was afraid of when I first started seeing this and I started seeing swatches. I was hoping it wouldn't be a big deal, because I hope that if I shear things out with brushes that it would be okay, but I don't really get a crease shade that works for me. Both of these are too dark, and they are too similar. They both look the same on me. They look distinct in the pan. It looks like this is going to be a lighter version and this is going to be a darker version. But on me, I felt they just, whether I used one or the other, they're interchangeable. So that to me is a bit of a letdown. Like, I would have liked this to be lighter and maybe have this be here, and then I would have liked it a lot better. This is quite dark. The blue, ooh, not the best quality. It's a cornflower blue, which is really pretty. I think it can work like on the lower lash line, but trying to blend it in the crease wasn't really happening for that shade. It was a bit patchy, difficult to work with. And then you do get this really nice, really dark, like black and gray. It's not quite a charcoal, it's not quite a navy, and it's not quite a black, but it's got a little bit of those in between. So I do like that for liner. So that was successful for me, but I just wish it had a better crease shade for me. And then I would have liked it so much better. But overall, like a shade like this, I just want to go back to and eat it every single day. Like, I just do. So it does have some really stunning shades. We get some multi-chromes, and the multi-chromes, not the best picks, because they all have blue in them. This one, for instance, is this like blue with a gold flip. So not only are they blue, they are also more warm tone leaning. So if that blue had a silver shift, it would have worked so much better with the other colors we're getting. So even though this is a very pretty shade, I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to. I tend to love these blue tones with a gold flip sometimes, but I felt it kind of didn't blend with the rest of the palette. And I felt that way with some of the other shades as well. Like this is a little bit too warm toned. These like pinky tones are like, this for instance is very beige. So for me, they weren't quite right. And I just felt that as lovely as the shimmer quality is, blue, 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 blue. A lot of the shimmers we get in this are blue, which doesn't make a lot of sense with the mattes we're getting, which are more gray leaning. So for me, I was hoping that this was going to be like my new favorite cool tone palette, and it definitely is. Isn't. Does it have stunning things in there? For sure. I love this one. Where with the, what was it called? Not the Ninhydrin, the one I bought after it. The Minka palette. I wasn't a huge fan of how I couldn't really create looks because the shimmers were all of like the same level and they didn't really blend together. I feel less like that with this, but it definitely still has a lot of limitations because the color story just isn't really coming together for me personally. However, I do think it is a stunning palette, and this is going to be right for some people. I really appreciate the formula in here that I think is stunning, but I just wanted some other shades in there to really make it work for me and make me very happy. So the palettes that I was supposed to try in August were all a little, like, they all had something that I didn't love, but September made up for it, very, very much so. I had a couple of things in here that I've been wanting to try for some time, that I bought over the summertime, and one of these things was even gifted to me very, very kindly. So let me just start there. It was the Melt Cosmetics Smoke Sessions 2. Esther, one of my regular viewers, placed an order with Melt and bought an extra one for me, which was super sweet, and she really, really didn't have to, but she knew that I would probably want to try this. I have held off of buying so many of the new purple makeup releases that we have been getting in recent years because I already have plenty of purple palettes. Brands insist on putting warm tone purples in left, right, and center. But when this was released, I was like, okay, this is the only warmer tone purple in a sea of cooler tone purples. Sign me up. So I knew I was going to love it. I do think the formula of this is different from other Melt palettes I have. This doesn't have the flaky shimmers, which I think a lot of people are going to love. But I did feel it was a little bit stiff. So it was a little bit more difficult to work with than most of the Melt palettes I've tried. But not in a way where it like irked me. I wasn't bothered. I liked it. And that one warm tone shade I mentioned, on me it wasn't warm tone at all. It was a really nice neutrally mauve-y purple with a bit of a heathery quality. So why it looks so warm toned, maybe because everything else is so cool that this looks warmer toned than it actually is in the pan. But with a brush, blend it out, perfect crease shade. And just give me one good crease shade in the palette and I'm happy. I ended up doing a look with this side of the palette, and I ended up doing a look with this side of the palette. And definitely these two purples are the most difficult to work with. They were a little bit patchy, a little bit what I experienced with Lisa Eldridge. Again, I think it may just be the purple pigments in there that is making it a little bit like easier for the shadow to skip and to not blend as seamlessly. I was able to get it there in the end, but it just requires a little bit of work. And as I mentioned, the shimmers in here are quite stiff. It has one of the best blurples on the planet. It's really, really stunning. You do have to like purple to like this. That's the only downside. Like, you don't have a lot of versatility with this. But then again, it does go with the Smoke Sessions theme because the original Smoke Sessions also didn't have a lot going for it in terms of versatility. So if you just want a one-stop shop for all of your purple sort of looks that you can do and you want it to be cool tone purples, This one for sure. Is this now my favorite purple palette? Not quite, but I definitely think there are now some purple tone palettes in my makeup collection that I can definitely declutter because I just have everything I need in here. And then a surprise to me is the Cooltrals from Sigma. This is going to be so controversial, I just know it, because when this was launched, a lot of people looked at this and were like, Sigma, that is not a cool tone palette. How dare you call it the Cool Neutrals? What if I told you that where the M Cosmetics pulled more warm toned on me and it wasn't like color corrected by putting the shades together, this one did. I ended up doing a look with these 6 shades, these shades, and these shades. And every look came out looking cool toned in real life. And that's something that I need to preface before I show you the video or the images I took. Because in swatches, on camera, the look I did with these 6 shades looks so warm toned. And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, but that's a taupe look. Especially because I focused it on this shimmer. This made the whole thing. This in the crease, this all over the lid. I popped this on the lower lash line. Don't remember what I did with this one. I think may have put that all over the lid as well. I don't remember. I only did it the other day and I've already forgotten. But I did a look with these 6 shades and I just felt that the way it looked, if I looked in the mirror, it was so stunning. And especially this shimmer, it doesn't apply well with a brush. I do need to use a finger to intensify it and get it there, but it's such a pretty sparkly look for sure. And I really enjoyed it. The purple look was really successful and the neutral look was really successful. Again, here you get that sort of like taupiness there, which I like. And that is what I appreciate about the palette, because it's not just like a duo. That's how a lot of Sigma palettes actually work. So you can do looks like that. You can use everything as a quad right next to one another. You can do 6 shades, or you can do like a little bit more if you'd like. But you can also like continue the palette here and revert back to base, because this and this goes really well together as well. So this is incredibly versatile. It has, I think, a shimmer for every matte. We know I love a good split between mattes and shimmers. So I feel this is super versatile, super easy to play with. The blendability of this compared to some of the other things that I had tried, I was just, again, blown away. It was so easy to make this look right. Smooth, buttery mattes, impactful shimmers that, yes, need a little bit of finger action from time to time to really get them to be as intense as you'd want them to, but so pretty. A little bit of sparkle, but not too much. So this is versatile. We get some different textures in here, and I really like mine. I think this is a great neutral palette for me that leans more cool toned. Does it have warmth? For sure. But I'm just going to ignore these 2 shades from now on if I want a truly like neutral cool tone palette with this, because it's really these 2 shades that really throw it off. But the rest of it, on me, it pulled cool toned. And I'm not sure because I haven't had a close-up look at the images I took, but as I was taking the pictures, I was like, that looks completely different from what it looks like when I look in the mirror. So the color, the way these colors translate on camera is very deceiving. And very often I have that the other way around, like things will look cooler toned in pictures than they actually are. With this, I feel it looks more warm toned than it actually is. Those are just my thoughts. And then my endeavor with the Beauty Bay formula is everlasting, it seems, because I decided to take one for the team and try the Smoky collection. They came out with it in the springtime, I believe, and I wasn't sure whether I should pick this up because the Beauty Bay formula isn't my favorite. It hasn't been since I started trying them. I know a lot of people love this, but because this is so affordable, I think it can be so accessible to so many people. So I wanna recommend them. You know, I do. And when they do cool tone color stories like this, I was like, I just have to try it. This is the only palette that I didn't try every single shade of, because I did try all the shades in this. And then I just did one more look with this one to see if the formula was the same. And I have to say, I'm very, very on the fence about this one. Because on the one hand, all the looks I did with this, some of the most cool-toned, stunning, smoky looks of my lifetime. Stunning. Easy to blend. Easy to play with. The shimmers didn't crease on me in this one. I definitely think that because I think a lot of the palettes I had tried from Beauty Bay so far were limited edition ones. But this like standard range I hadn't tried. Because I think they do this in like bright colors and like neutrals and browns and greens. And they have all these theme palettes. Which I consider to be like their regular range. And I think this is better quality than the limited edition stuff that I have been trying so far. But there is a caveat, because I traveled to Paris a couple of weeks ago and I was like, this is small enough to take with me in a makeup bag. Like I can put this in my bag and just have this palette and do like a couple of looks with it as I'm going away. And I'm not sure what caused it, but the first day I was putting this on and my eyes itched so terribly. I put this white shimmer in the inner corner and my eyes on both sides, exactly where I had placed the white, started to burn so badly that the next day I knew I had to forego eye makeup for a day to just give it time to like not be irritated again. And that was the first look I did. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try again, because very often when I travel, I do take other skincare with me, and my allergies had been pretty bad the day before. So I thought, maybe it's the allergies. I'm in a hotel room. Maybe there's dust mites that I'm also quite allergic to. Maybe it's the skincare I was using. Like there were so many variables that could have been the issue, that it meant that it didn't necessarily have to be the eyeshadow palette. So I did 2 more looks. I did a look with these like gray tones that it has. Where's the gray tones? This one and this one and this one. I did that. And I did like a look with the taupey things down here. So I did a look first with some like more of like the bluish grays up here. And then I did 2 more looks with the other ones that I actually have like good pictures for. Because I was like, oh, I'll just take pictures with my camera. I've my phone. It will be fine. But my eyes were so red and watery, it just got smudged completely. So that first look I don't have a good image of. But I liked it and it worked fine and it didn't irritate my eyes. So I think it was just something had set off my allergies, and then putting eyeshadow on top was what like triggered the response the most. So the other 2 looks I did with that palette, no issues. And also the look I did with the larger smoky, no issues. The reason why I only did 1 look with this is because you get a lot of overlap between the 2. You don't need both. You really don't. Because the exact same shades in the 16 color palette are in the 42 color palette. And I decided to go mainly for these like purpley tones, because that's what's not in the 16 pound palette. That's why I wanted to try this. And it was really, really pretty. You get 2 rows of mattes in here, 2 rows of shimmers, and then the 2 darkest rows at the bottom have 1 row of mattes, and then here are 3 shimmers again. So the reason why I wouldn't recommend this is because it is so matte heavy. I don't need this many mattes. I just don't. So it's a bit too big for me. Do I like it? Will I probably keep this around? Yes. Just to be sure, I did use the white shimmer that's in here, again in the inner corner, for the look that I did with this palette. No issues. No issues. No burning, no itching, no watery eyes, no redness, no irritation whatsoever. So I think it was something else, and putting this eyeshadow on top is just what triggered it. So I would recommend going for the 16 pan if you just want a good cool tone palette. That's not going to break the bank. I would still recommend this. And I do think of all the Beauty Bay palettes that I've tried so far, these 2 are the better ones. They are better than the limited edition stuff. So with Beauty Bay, my conclusion so far is go for their regular line and not the limited edition stuff. Which brings me to the final two palettes that I wanted to try this month, and this is why, like, I'm so proud of myself that I managed to do this for you guys, because these are also 20 pans. So we had a lot of pans to play with, and these I have used. I did 3 looks with each of them, and between those 3 looks per palette, I managed to use every single shade. I first started playing with the Cooltrals palette, because why not? It's by Cosmic Brushes, by the way. They seem to have rebranded finally into Cosmic Beauty, but the logo hasn't changed. And in here, I feel we don't really get a true neutral palette. On me, the way the shades combined, and of course that also has to do with the way I combined it. Is that a word? I combined the shades is definitely what made it look more colorful, but I felt this is a blue and purple palette with a gray and 2 neutrals actually like thrown in, because this and also this is quite purple already. Then we have some purples down here. We get some actual blues. This is like the only thing that's gray, and then these are the only neutrals you're getting with like this. This is a stunning shade, by the way. I don't think I did it justice because I used it in the inner corner because I needed to go somewhere. But I definitely still want to do a look where I put this one all over the lid because that one was stunning. So can you do a neutral look with this? Yes, but you literally have like 5 shades to choose from. 75% of this palette is colorful. So for it to be called Cooltrals may not be the best name, but the formula, oh my word. The formula on this is so nice. The mattes, super smooth, blendable. They do have a bit of kick up when you put your brush in, like there is dust everywhere when you use this. The shimmers are really pretty. We get some multi-chromes in here. This and also this I feel is a little bit more shifty. So that is absolutely stunning. I loved it. And every single look I did with this, I felt wonderful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Of the 20 shades, you get 9 shimmers, 11 mattes. But the black, it's a sequin shade. So I feel the shimmer in it doesn't show up. So to me, that's another matte. So that's 12 mattes and 8 shimmers. So I could do with 2 extra shimmers in here. But again, I love that these don't break the bank for an indie palette that has multi-chromes in with 20 shades. And these being like 40 euros a pop. So much better. And now, because Cosmic Brushes, or Cosmic Beauty, I should say, is a UK-based brand, I now buy them through MONOLITH as well because they are available on there. And it means you don't have to pay for the shipping as much. Shipping from the UK has gotten a lot more expensive because of Brexit, even if you don't pay the custom fees. So that this brand is now available on MONOLITH makes it a little bit more affordable, I feel, because that way you can just, like, I think I bought these 2 palettes and a Singe Beauty brush to get to the free shipping, and it was fine. So Cooltrals was very lovely, but don't expect it to be a neutral palette because it is more blue-purple heavy than a true neutral. What I do still want to point out, I'm almost forgetting, is that I wasn't expecting these 2 shades and these 2 shades to be as cool toned as they are. In the pan, I feel they look warmer toned than they go on. So similar to the Sigma, I already mentioned there would be things in here today that I feel pull cooler toned than they actually look. And this is definitely one of them. So when I did that first look with those neutrals and those like warmish looking purples, it didn't look warm toned. And that multi-chrome in the top, it looks like it has a very vibrant like cranberry to it. But on the eyes, it disappeared and it was this really pretty multi-chrome with like purple, blue, and green. It was stunning. And finally, the eyeshadow palette that is on my eyes today is the Nudetrals. And I definitely think that this is more neutral than the cool toned one, which is a bit of a shame. Brands seem to be able to do better neutrals if they're warm. And this I feel is more of a warm toned palette rather than a true neutral. Everything in here has a bit of warmth, save for the purples at the bottom, because this entire row is what is on my eyes today. This is the look. It's very, very dark and smoky. This is what's in the crease. This is why I like lighter crease shades, because everything looks so incredibly smoky on me so quickly. That's why I didn't love the shades in the Amy Loves palette as much, because they pulled this intense but gray toned on me, like straight away. However, I did really also enjoy all the other shades. So if you want to go for that smoky purple look, it definitely has that. And I think that this is the kind of palette that is great if you have a warm undertone and you have medium to deep skin. I think this can be a really nice one. I think the Cooltrals one is overall also a little bit lighter, which is why it's definitely my preference of the two. But you get some stunning shades in here. I really enjoyed this shimmer here, and also Sin. This reminds me of a shade I used to own years ago. It's sort of like a champagne rose gold beigey shade, but it's like, it's got enough depth that you can use it as an inner corner highlight, but you can also use it all over the lid, and it's a very versatile little shimmer shade, which very often inner corner highlights like that, just, they work as inner corner highlights and that's it. This one is really, really pretty. That's another multi-chrome. This is a multi-chrome and this is a multi-chrome. So you get 3 of them in here. And I was hoping that these were like murky green tones. They pulled mustard on me. So where in the Cooltrals, I was pleasantly surprised with those purpley tones that I thought looked more warm toned in the pan. These look green toned, but on me, they don't look very green toned. The green completely disappears, but it does mean it goes really well with this. So I'm not too mad about it. The 3 looks I did with this, I think I used these 8 shades, and then I used these shades to create another look. And then, as I mentioned, that's what's on the eyes today. Quality-wise, it's the same as the Cooltrals, really nice buttery mattes that have a bit of kick up, but super easy to blend. Even that really dark purple, like I had no issues blending that all the way up to the crease. Really nice intense shimmers, sometimes a little bit flaky, and I have to say that I did struggle to pick this multi-chrome shade up with a pan, like with a brush. I needed my fingers to make that work, but that's the only shade in both of these palettes that has that. This is great if you have a warm undertone. This is great if you love your cool tones. Just don't expect this to be super neutral, and this I think could have been more colorful compared to this. But they're nice complementary palettes as well, and I love my Cosmic Beauty palettes so much. I now have 4 of these, and there's a 5th one on its way, because I did order a new like greenish toned one that they have. That looks stunning. So I think that this is a great launch from Cosmic Beauty. I think that they are one of the best indie brands to shop from at the minute, because they do larger palettes, do interesting things, great formula, and it doesn't break the bank. For about 40 euros, you can already get yourself one of these, which is a lot cheaper than some other brands do. So that's it. Those are all of the eyeshadow palettes that I tried in the past month or so. A little bit more with the 3 mini palettes that I tried in August, but that thing didn't count. So some of them were very successful, and I'm very, very happy I got the try. More so the things I tried in September, the things I tried in August, and like towards the end of that month, like transitioning into September. Those all had something there that made me not fall in love with them. But you know, that's the nature of the game. You win some, you lose some. You try something because it looks interesting, and sometimes that's by a brand you know you love, and you've tried other things, so you know what the bar is like, and then when they release something that doesn't quite hit that bar for you, then that's where the disappointment comes from. So if you thought I was too harsh on those first couple of palettes, then I do apologize, because some people really, really hate it if I have any sort of like negative to say about things. But know that if you're doing this for as long as I've been doing this, your idea of what good makeup is just has a different connotation for you. So if you love these, by all means, keep loving them. There were some issues with these palettes, but just because I had some issues doesn't mean that these are like instant declutters, because that Amy Loves palette, there are some really solid shades in there, and I really enjoy the concept, and I love Amy as well as a creator. She's one of my favorites who I still watch on YouTube, And so I wanted to support her as well, because I know that in the past she's had a collab that didn't go down too well for her, so I'm super proud of what she's created. Was it quite right for me? Maybe not. I could have done with one more crease shade in there, but that's the nature of the game. So thank you so very much for joining me here today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more by me, because I will be back with new videos very, very soon. And I promise I will be back in October with this video again. Don't worry about it. This is a monthly occurrence on here. So I will be back with a palette review video for sure. And then I hope to see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.